They're not obligated.
What?
She did not do it.
Oh. I was like, didn't you? I saw Chip. Yes.
I'm in. No.
We will call this to order. And it looks like we're gonna do the oath of office since we did reappointments, so Shanita is here. I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, everybody, on the deck, you just raise your right hand and repeat after me. Solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the District Six Advisory Board,
of the District Six Advisory.
Initial shot,
Kansas.
and then they get the rabies.
Perfect. There's 2 pages in front of you. If you can sign those and just pass them down, then I'll get them.
While you all are doing that, we will keep moving. I will tell you, we do have for the district advisory board meetings moving forward. It'll be the public agenda, and then we'll do announcements, staff reports, and then new business. So there's just a couple things switched around, but should be just fine. So is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting?
I move.
Second.
Tom, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Minutes for the March 9th, 2026 meeting.
This is Scott, so moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay, Brian, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Vince is joining us on Teams.
Okay, great. Okay, we will move on to the call of agenda.
Portion of the agenda where members of the public are able to speak on any topic that's not part of the agenda itself. We do have a few scheduled items. We have Sheila Officer. Sheila, are you here?
Yes.
Sheila, if you wanna come up, you have 5 minutes.
As officer, I am the chair of the Racial Profiling Advisory Board here in Wichita. Thank you so very much for this opportunity. Business card, our brochures. The Racial Profiling Board is a 501c3 board, nonprofit. It is a community-based board here in Wichita. We have been in existence since the year 2000, and our job is to eliminate racial profiling with any law enforcement, local or federal. We work with local law enforcement officers in helping to get training, helping into revising policies, practices, and procedures. Our goal is to work hand in hand with them in building trust and building a relationship with the police department and the community. At a glance here, we have done some very important work this board has, along with the help of senators and state congressmen. We have a senator on board with us. She has been with us for about 20 years. That would be Senator Aletha Fausto from the 29th District. With her help and with the late Gail Finney, state representative, we were able to craft and then get passed Senate Bill 500, which is now a codified bill, part of the statutes dealing with revoked and suspended driver's license. That bill helped 200,000 Kansans to drive legally on the streets. Out of that. Just recently, Senate Bill 2467 was passed. It was an amendment to Senate Bill 500, which gave the courts called a 5-year look back, which means that they could not go back any further than 5 years to assess any kind of fines or fees for a person trying to get their driver's license. Very important. And again, for the city of Wichita, there were over 40,000 people that were impacted. Very important. Also, now we're working with Senator Aletha Falscadeau in fine tweaking the racial profiling bill. It has yet to be refined or improved. I think there's some improvement that needs. We have that passed in 2005. That is KSA 224606 through 4611. If you want to take a look at that. It gives a guidelines for law enforcement on what exactly racial profiling is and what they are not allowed to do with reference to racial. The only requirement there with our board is that you have a sincere and dedication to helping your community improve. And we meet every third Thursday at the new Carl Brewer Center. We have a meeting this Thursday from 6:30 to 8. All is welcome, and I hope to see you. Do you have any questions?
Profile is used. There may be as many definitions for that in here as there is people. Have you got a and a statute is probably in there. Can you define it for me? What, from your perspective or from the board's perspective, what is racial profiling?
All right. Racial profiling, simple and plain, is using the ethnicity, race, religion, sexual gender and orientation, and various others to stop, frisk, search motorists. And that's exactly what it does. The brochure and the card that I'm passing around definitely defines that. We're very hard hit on the 4th, the 5th, and the 14th Amendment. All right. So any other questions? Did I ask your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else with questions? Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Else who would like to speak on part of the public agenda, we have someone else queued. If you wanna go ahead and step up to the podium, I will let you introduce yourself and your organization, and then I know there's a video as well.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Tammy Bradley. I'm here this evening representing the Greater Wichita Partnership, which is the economic development group for Wichita, Sedgwick County, and the region, 10-county region down here in South Central Kansas. Tonight, we're here really to listen to you all about how you define a term called economic mobility. I work in the talent and workforce area, and I'm here with some colleagues from Gardner Design, Bill Gardner, his team here, helping us to do this kind of listening. We work talent workforce group at the partnership. We try to figure out how we can build pipelines in this community. Involved in this at WSU Tech. But we look at what's going on in the community and the region to ensure that we have a workforce that's skilled and ready for today and the future. And a lot of great things are happening. WSU Tech is a success story in and of itself. We've been working with a group funded by the Kansas Health Foundation, looking at how we can ensure all parts of our community are trained and skilled for workforce. And a term that keeps coming up is economic mobility. But in working in this for the last few months, or almost a couple of years now, we realized that much like the earlier conversation, there are as many definitions of economic mobility as there are people in the community. So we're trying to find some common language related to that. I have a short video that Anna is going to play for us that started with a conversation at a music festival here about a year ago, is that right? And gives you an idea of kind of what we're looking at. Be real to people, so we'll watch that. I promise it's very short. So this idea of a wish list is really, that's what Bill and his team were able to come up with to start this conversation, make it real. And I'm just curious, I have a couple of minutes, I think. Anybody speak up. If I said economic mobility to you, what would you say back to me? What does that mean to you after watching this?
Well, to me personally, it would mean like mobility itself would sound like the ability to get a job and have opportunities to move up that are equal to anybody else's based on nothing but their work.
Equal, okay? Rising up, yes, sir.
Reliable transportation to be able to get to work.
Awesome. We've heard that quite a bit, so that's great. Anything else?
Where are you collecting these wishes?
Well, that is a very good question. I'm glad you asked. We have a QR code. I don't have that this evening to put up on the screen or not. But luckily we have handouts. I think everybody up here around the table has one. And we have some on the table. And so you can just click on that and send us your ideas. We've done this with every district in Wichita. We've also done a session with a county citizens group with Commissioner Ryan Beatty. And we are actually sending a survey out similar to the one that I think you see on the QR code to East High students. So we want some young people involved in this conversation as well. What we're gonna do with this is accumulate all of this and hopefully come up with some common terms that we can move into the community, talk to each other about, make this very real, because ultimately we want everyone to have opportunities. Yes, sir.
How was East High chosen?
They had a student group that was interested in sending the survey out, a student government association special project. So do you have a group that you'd like us to reach out to?
I think you might get different answers from kids at North.
Okay.
Source for any help on this.
Site council there, I'll be meeting in Springfield next Monday, so.
Thank you very much. I think Bill himself is a great so we have all kinds of connections.
That young.
Well, since we're the ones that redesigned it, we feel like, yeah, I would rather it on.
Yes, and thank
You
you.
bet.
Also, I mean, the library is doing a great job of outreach in our community, so all the library branches should have them.
It's a great idea. Thank you. Appreciate the time this evening. Thank you for allowing us to speak.
Thank you. If you guys wanna scan the QR code, there are copies outside on the table. Do we have anybody else who wants to participate on the off agenda items this evening? Anybody who wants to speak on it? Yep, come on up.
Did you raise your hand too?
No, I was.
You're just making room for me. My name is Lee McLeod, and I'm the president of the Benjamin Hills Pleasant Valley Neighborhood Association, but I'm also now getting involved in an event at Trinity Presbyterian Church, which is just north of 21st Street and west of Amadon, about a block. And find us on Sweetbriar, between Marigold and Sweetbriar. Our address is Marigold, but the parking lot's on Sweetbriar. What I want to just invite you to is, we've had the opportunity to host a national live stream program on Saturday, the 25th of April, which is a couple of days after Earth Day. And it's going to be called the National Faith Plus. We have a very interesting speaker, Diana Elizabeth Johnson, who is a marine biologist she's written a very interesting book called What If We Got It Right? And so that we will be hosting, as I say, from 10:30 in the morning until about 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon, with a number. We'll have the live stream speech from her and other comments from the national. A lot of churches and other organizations, they're calling it, they really are reaching out to church and faith communities. And so we just happened to find out about it and said, let's try this, because we have a facility that can do that, bring in the live stream. And so I'm gonna leave some brochures, and if you can come, if you're interested in climate change at all, you can even tap into it on YouTube. You don't have to come to our event. I'd like for you to register so that people know, the headquarters knows how many people we have been able to gather here in Wichita. We are the only site in Wichita, churches around the country, but if you use this QR code, it will send you to a registration form, very simple. Where do you want to be? It'll be Trinity Presbyterian Church, Wichita, Kansas, and it'll ask you if you're connected with any faith organization, or if not, what other kind of organization. So that's all we need to know from you, and I would love to be able to see a number of you. I know that there's a lot of passion in our community and in our neighborhood about trees and about the climate and everything else. And so we just wanted to be a part of it in that way. Our neighborhood association email newsletter has already just sent this out yesterday also. So if you live in our neighborhood and you can check it out through that news flash. Any questions? My phone number at the church is there, and it also says secretary at TPC. That TPC is Trinity Presbyterian Church. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing a few of you there. And I'm gonna beg out of this meeting, I'm sorry. I mean, I know they have a business for the city.
All right, do we have agenda item this evening?
If you want, you'll leave this.
With that, Councilmember Ballard, I'll turn it over to you for board agenda this evening.
Awesome, thank you so much. So if everybody wants to go around and just introduce your name and what neighborhood you're from, then we'll move on to announcements and then police, fire, and library.
Stephen Aller, Indian Hills, Riverbend, and I forgot what else I'm supposed to say.
That's it.
Great.
I'm Bill Washburn, Sherwood Glen.
Lisa Tatum, Old Town.
James, North Riverside.
Sergio Deborah Nájera, El Pueblo neighborhood.
Megan Deppner, Delano.
I'm Scott Lucas with Benjamin Hills, Pleasant Valley.
Awesome. I do wanna tell you, next month, we have 5 planning cases today, and we have 8 next month, so bring a snack, because, we got a lot of stuff going on in the district, but just, we also talked about maybe moving the meeting to 6:30, is anybody
Good idea.
opposed to that?
Is there anybody that has a work schedule that won't fit well?
Anybody?
We got
I
it.
should be able to make it.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
I
Anna, do
mean,
you have
like
any
at 6
announcements
o'clock,
before we
just
move on
like
to?
I don't have anything, but if anything comes out during the month, I'll be happy to share those with you guys.
Awesome. We will move on to staff reports. Police department reports.
Alright. Hello everyone, I'm Officer Grinley. I work out of Patrol North. I'm a community police officer up there. I'm gonna go over some of the stats and a couple of the other activities going on around District 6 here. So our auto thefts are our part 1 crimes. Auto thefts, there was really no change. We stayed at 23, which is not the best, but no change is better than going up. So this is the 30 days prior to the last 30 days. That's how they our robberies unfortunately have gone up. We were at 5 and now we're at 9. Our burglaries have gone down. They went down 33%. We were at 30, we were down to 20. Our larcenies, there was not a whole lot of change. They did go up a little bit. They were at 105 up to 100 or up to 121. Aggravated assaults thankfully are down. I did check, I'm sure most of you guys have seen the news. It was a very aggressive weekend in Wichita. I did look up the numbers again this morning just to, it'd be slightly different than the ones when I looked up last week. And we are still down, which is good for the last 30 days. So the number of arrests for part 1 crimes has gone up. We had 9% increase, so we did arrest some more people. A couple of things going on in the neighborhood this morning. Financial Crimes came out and spoke with La Familia Senior Center about fraud. That's also been some of our social media page has been posting about some scams and stuff like that going on as well. So they invited us out there to kind of give them a little presentation. A couple of the events going on, Open Streets Shocker Neighborhood is April 19. That is District 1, but that also leads into Nomar is on May 3rd. So Open Streets Nomar, if you guys get a chance, that is an awesome event. Open Streets was originally designed for riding bikes up and down the street, which works great for Douglas. It does not work great for Nomar because there are so many people in the neighborhood that come out, which is exactly what the purpose of it is. But it's kind of hard to ride a bike when there's 10,000 people. So also on that day, so May 3rd, we do have Prairie Fire Half Marathon. So there will be quite a few streets around the river that will be closed off. So watch for those and watch for people running. So that's all I have.
All of this happens to be in District 6.
Yes.
Hey guys, Officer Ice, I'm with Patrol West, I'm the community police officer for 1516B. A few things that we had recently, last month we did Second Chance Thursday. Just some stats on that, we had 155 attend, it was at the Carl Burr Community Center, which was lovely over there. We dismissed 55 warrants. The DM to see 132 people. They were able to get 21 restricted driver's licenses to people, and 12 licenses were reinstated. So it was a really good outcome. We plan on doing the next one probably sometime in June. Riverfest is coming up, so we're trying to focus on that first, and then right possibly after that we'll be doing another Second Chance Thursday. Still trying to iron out where we're gonna have the next location. But just all our social media pages, we will post that on there and let everyone know, and we do some news interviews too. Out at Patrol West, I think it's really across the whole city. Because of the warmer weather, we are seeing an increase of illegal vehicles, which would be like your mini bikes, ATVs on the roadway. We are trying to address that, so bear in mind. We've done a lot of education out west, and we're going towards enforcement at this point. We have written out some citations regarding illegal vehicles, so that's one of the big things that we're concerned about, just because of safety and everything with traffic. So that's all I got. Any questions?
About that, if there are illegal vehicles on, say, the trail by the river, are you guys the ones that we call for that, or?
Yes,
Okay.
so we have some ordinances we can apply regarding that, so.
So speaking of illegal vehicles, I wanna understand it. I've seen these little bikes that look like they got lawnmower motors for them. Are those considered illegal to be able to drive on the city streets?
That sounds like it's gonna be illegal. If you have a vehicle, you're required to have a license plate on it, turn signals, all that jazz, essentially. E-bikes are kind of a complicated thing. So e-bikes you're allowed to have because that's a pedal assist. But if it's basically moving on its own through
a
electric
motor.
motor or a gas motor,
It has to have
pedal
turn
assist
signals.
is considered illegal.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any more questions from the dad?
Probably less for him and more for you, Maggie, is update at some point in time on the police station build. Go ahead. Perfect. Yeah.
So we are still on schedule from last I heard. There's plans, final date is supposed to be April, I believe, of 2027, so next year. It's on my beat right now at 16, so I drive past it all the time. They are doing some great work out there. We see that they've been, ground, dug up and putting infrastructure and everything, so it looks like it's moving fast. So we're excited about that.
Station 7, which is 2346 North Coolidge, which is tucked right behind First Street. I will tell you, if you drive by, you will see that we are in the process of painting our I-beam and stuff out front that is a kind of an ugly brown. We're going with fire engine red. So, woo-hoo. In Cargill, that had a 100-foot soybean boiler catch fire. If you're around there that day, huge amount of smoke. Large smokes out on the ground. Those calls are dangerous. Calls that we take our time to try to figure out. It's difficult to figure out what was going on because you couldn't see. And even from the street, you guys can tell that place is a maze. To try to figure out where to go, where to deploy units, was a challenge. It's probably more of a command challenge and actual guys out working hard, just because of the layout of that facility. The other one, right on the edge, also another odd one was, and this was on March 20th, was a train derailment at 135 K96 ramp. I will tell you, I've been on lots of train derailments, and most of the time they consist of a track kind of failing, and about 3 or 4 cars just kind of lean off, and they just kind of lean there, and there's really not much to them. This train derailment had whole cars off the tracks. They mashed into 2 of the pillars that hold up 135, obliterated one of them, and broke the other one to where it was in half. Fortunately, all the cars, none of them held any hazardous materials. Most of them were actually hauling automobiles. I think probably new cars. So on shift that day, we would have went, we were on another call. That was interesting to listen to because, like I said, we go on you tend to go on some that are fairly minor in nature, and you could hear the radio traffic guys not believing what they were seeing initially because of just the amount of destruction. And the decision that night to close 135 was not taken lightly. We all realize when we close a major highway, that has big implications. Unfortunately, it was on a weekend, so you weren't gonna have, rush hour traffic coming in that morning. I do believe they have most of it back open. I think one lane is still closed. Engineers from KDOT or something went there and shorted up. Those are two unusual incidents. For us, if you hadn't seen, back last year, we had a mold study done for the fire stations. We had 20 out of 23 stations that found mold where we needed. 32nd Broadway is scheduled for cleaning. I don't think Skinner and Station 15 out on Lincoln and Rock Road were both shut down, and those crews stations why they remediated them. I don't think there's any plan to do that. I think those were the two worst ones. And so you will see Station 3 during the cleaning. I think when the cleaning crews are there, let's just say from 8 to 5 or whatever during the day, those personnel will have to go find another place. Probably either come to the station or to Station 13 up on the work out of there during the day. But there's no plan to close those stations. One other internal thing is kind of exciting. Today was our first day of our promotional assessment process for lieutenants and captains candidates. It's a big deal in the fire department. We do it once every 2 years. And to get promoted to lieutenant or captain, you have to get on those lists. Most of the time we do them in rank order. The promotion assessment process today down at training grounds. It's a stressful time of year for those folks participating in that process. Thankfully, I'm kind of where I'm at, and I don't have to. On our purview is April is the burn ban month. It actually comes from the state of Kansas, and that really has nothing to do with fire. So I'll just read off that because it just does not come from the city. It comes from the state, and it's about air quality. And so what it does do for the city, if you fall below certain standards of air quality, so there are 16 counties in the state that have April burn bans per the air quality, and they're all the metro areas, guys. Sedgwick County, then go up in Topeka, Johnson County, Douglas. They're all the metro areas have burn bans for the month of April. If there's any burn permits issued for the month of April in the city, those are automatically canceled. So if you had a burn permit, you cannot burn, which would be most times something large if you got a permit. But it bans trees and brush, crops, residues, construction debris, and yard waste. What it doesn't ban for the normal folks like you and me, outdoor cooking. So you can still have a ceremonial fires, things such as like that. It's really about air quality, but when you hear burn ban, you think fire department, rightly so. But it's really not about. It's more about air quality. But that's all I have. Any questions? I'll be happy to answer.
Quality on the weather app, today's 15th, just so in case you wondered. I just have one question. Can you talk a little bit about?
Stop me if I talk too much, because to take the lieutenant's test, you have to have 7 years on the job before you can take it. To take the captain's test, so it goes lieutenant then captain. To take the captain's test, you have to have 2 years in grade of lieutenant before you can become a captain. So what you can put in to participate in the test. First off, there's a written exam that we put out study material for those folks to study. We actually hire a third party out to write our exam. We used to try to write our own, and that went poorly. We're not test writers, and we tried to do it, and it was not. It was hodgepodge. It didn't work. So we hired that out now. Much improved testing process. So we have a designated day. It's pretty stringent. We sent the material out January 1st, 3 months ahead of the test, usually in March, right around the 1st of March. Those folks who all want to take the promotional test, lieutenants or captains, show up. They take the written exam. You have to achieve a 70% of written exam to move forward. Also make a cut line of the top 40 candidates for lieutenants and the top 30 candidates for captains. We make that cut line, we add in seniority, we make that cut line, and so the top 40 and top 30 move on to our assessment process, which is done down training ground. That's a oral interview type stuff. We do, role play things, scenario-based fires, leadership types of deals. And we always bring in outside assessors, usually fire service related folks, from Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Kansas, Topeka. They come in and do our assessment process. Once that's all done, we throw all those scores together and we have a rank order list. 10 years, I've got 23 years on. The last 10 years, it's gotten much better, much more fair. Candidates to do well, that's kind of the goal. A lot over the last 10 years or so.
Is this maybe? Haven't heard any more about the Levram study?
She asked if I had heard about the release of the Levram study.
I don't know anything.
I know that the new city manager is aware of it and has a plan. I just have it for District 6, but I don't know that there's been a presentation
I've not heard
or
of
anything like that.
anything about releasing the Levram study, I can tell you that.
Good question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From library.
Kelly, I'm the branch manager here at the Evergreen branch and then also for the Maya Angelou branch. So I have some updates. If you come to DAB regularly, you might have heard me talk about some of this stuff before, but if you haven't, then I've got some exciting new things for you. So April is always a big month for the library because that's when we do the so we've had events going on since the kickoff event. Our big read book this year is Catalog of Unabashed Gay. It's a book of poetry, which is fun because April is also National Poetry Month. So if you get to read some poetry this month, that's great. And if you want to read our big read book this year, you can join in that as well. So we had our kickoff party where we had that was actually at the Angelou branch, which was nice. Normally they have it at the Advanced Learning Library, but because the Angelou branch is named for Maya Angelou and she wrote a lot of poetry, they wanted to do it there. So we had poetry and gratitude related activity stations, poetry readings, there was a fig tasting. Some of the poems in the book have to do with tasting figs. Tours of the new community garden infrastructure that we built over there, and then attendees got free copies of the Big Read book. And then most of the other events that we've had have been book club related, so different groups read the book and talk about it. And we have a librarian who's going around and sort of giving a short presentation about this is how you read, how you understand a poem. So that's been really fun. Out on Saturday, this Saturday, right? April 18th is this Saturday. At the Advanced Learning Library, we're gonna have the sort of closing keynote event. We're gonna have local come to do poetry readings, and there's gonna be a panel discussion about poetry. If you want to attend or you want any more information about the Big Read, there's a page on our library website that's just dedicated to that, so you can find out about all of the events. Another exciting thing that's happening this year is that Wichita Public Library is turning 150, so it's our 150th anniversary. And so we're going to be doing kind of anniversary all throughout the year. This last weekend, we had an event at White Cider where there was commemorative cider pours with special pint glasses. They had blind date with a book that you could purchase. We're going to be doing another event April 26th from 12 to 5 at Central Standard Brewing, where there's going to be a special batch of beer that was created called Bibliomaniac. So if you buy that, then some of that money goes to our Friends Foundation. And then there's also going to be library themed merchandise available for purchase. So those are a couple of the things that we're doing right now. We're planning some more stuff for summer, and I'll keep you guys updated on all the fun. One of the things that staff are really excited about is we're getting a new logo this year. And so that is going to be unveiled, I think, at the beginning of May. So we're all very this Friday, we are hosting our annual Adult Spelling Bee, so that's always a lot of fun. If you are someone who really loves spelling, want to get a team together, we're going to have that event at the Advanced Learning Library from 6:30 to 8:30. Winners typically get trophies or medals printed using our 3D in addition to bragging rights. And if you are going to participate, they do want you to register. At least one person on the team should register for the whole team. And then, another annual thing that we celebrate in libraries is National Library Week, so that is coming up. It's next week, I think. And the library is gonna be hosting Pete Davis as part of a celebration of National Library Week. He wrote a book called Dedicated, The Case for Commitment in an Age of Infinite Browsing. Neil Johnson. They're going to be focusing on how residents can be active participants in their community. You guys are all already doing that by coming to your DAB meeting. And at that event, they're also going to launch the Civic Action Passport. So this is something, and the City of Wichita and the Kansas Leadership Center and Lead Wichita all came together to design this Civic Action Passport. And basically it has a whole list of different activities inside that residents can do to become more active in their community. So some of the examples are attending community events, volunteering, engaging with local organizations, coming to library programs, coming to DAB meetings, so all of those different types of things. And so it's a way to get people kind of invested in the community and become a more active part of your community. So we'll be launching those at the event, but and then we have some upcoming events here at the Evergreen branch. So this Thursday we have our monthly Checkmate at the library. If you're into chess, we've started getting some regulars coming once a month to just play chess with each other. If you're interested in air awareness and air quality and learning more about that, the library is having an event here on Earth Day, Wednesday, April 22nd from 1 to 2. Liz Ortega from the City Sustainability Office is going to come, and she's going to talk about how the city monitors air quality. She's the one who actually will issue alerts if there are like bad, like high ozone days or like bad air quality days, what that means, how the air that blows into us from other cities around us affects our air quality. She came and did her presentation last year as well, and it was really interesting. So if you want to learn more about that, that's a great way to do it. It is on Earth Day. Yep, Wednesday, April 22nd from 1 to 2.
And it's here?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then finally, we have started in the last few years, it's become kind of a tradition here at Evergreen. We celebrate El Dia, which is a day that is all about kind of event that's all about kids, books, and reading. And we've been doing puppet shows. And typically we invite participation from local authors, and the puppet shows are created based on picture books that local authors have written. So our youth services folks will design the puppet shows. The books will be read. It's kind of like a storytime puppet show thing. So those are always really fun, and it's going to be Thursday, April 30th at 4:30. Yeah, that's all I've got. Any questions for me about library stuff?
So Sierra, did you tell us the name of the Big Read book? I just missed
Yes,
it, or?
it is Catalog of Unabashed Gratitude by Ross Gay.
Oh, that's the Big Read, okay.
Yep.
And what date was the Pete Davis author?
It is. Yeah. 6:30 to 7:30. I wrote down the time, just not the date. We have a seed library over at the Angelo branch. So it's an old card catalog that we rehabbed and painted, and we offer seeds, mostly vegetable seeds that you can just come and take. So you can come and pick up to 5 seed packets every time you come and visit. And we just switched out our spring seeds for summer seeds. So if you come starting on Tuesday, we have all different kinds of fruits and vegetable seeds that you can pick up, and we also got a big donation this year from ICT Tree Huggers, so we have a variety of herbs as well as flower seeds available. So if you want any of those, they're free. All you have to do is just come pick them up at the library.
Starting tomorrow?
Starting tomorrow, yes.
Can the public donate as well?
Yes, so we actually just recently got a donation from someone. If you wanna donate, all we ask is that you donate packets. We can't take loose leaf seed just because we don't have a way of. But if you wanna donate them, we're always happy to take those.
Fabulous.
27th, okay. Thank you.
To new business. The first thing is the 2026-2027 annual action plan.
Good evening, District 6. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good, thanks.
My name is Andrew Tyree. I'm with the Housing and Community Services Department with the City of Wichita. And I'm here, as was pointed out, to talk about the 26-27 Annual Action Plan for Entitlement Grants, CDBG, Home, and ESG. Oops. Just before we get too deep into it, some background. The city receives an annual allocation of funds for community development activities from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, otherwise known as HUD. I'm sure everybody has heard of HUD before. Funded activities align to the city's goal of creating a livable and sustainable community. And we use these funds to create strong, sustainable, inclusive communities and affordable housing. So we operate off of two main planning documents. The first one is called the Consolidated Plan. Every 5 years, we are required by HUD to submit what's called a 5-year consolidated plan. It's a strategic plan. Basically, it identifies community development needs, affordable housing needs, homeless needs, and priorities of the city. Basically, it maps out what we're going to do for the next 5 years with these funds. And so we use this as our guide. We have to stick with our what we have on the consolidated plan. And so every year we have to submit what's called the annual action plan. Basically what that does, it highlights the projects and activities that we are looking to accomplish during the program year. And so those have to align with our consolidated plan. The action plan also serves as the application for funding for all 3 of these entitlement grants, Community Development Block Grant, or as we refer to it as CDBG. This is used for a wide range of community development needs. CDBG funds are by far the most flexible funding that these 3 anyways that we use. Home Investment Partnerships or HOME program, that's strictly used to create affordable housing for low income neighborhoods. And then the Emergency Solution Grant, or ESG, this is used solely to address homelessness. Planning process we have to go through every year. Public comment period for the annual action plan began on March 27th. Tonight we are finishing up our round of DAB meetings. My supervisor is at District 2 tonight and obviously here at District 6. But we're here to solicit public comment or feedback on the action plan. The 3rd year action plan is due to HUD no later than 60 days after HUD publishes the final allocations for the upcoming program year. And when I keep saying program year, basically what that means is we operate off of July 1st through June 30th. So this action plan will be for the period of July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. So if you had the pleasure of hearing this presentation last year, you might remember that we kind of switched things up last year. We're going to do that again this year. If we had any funding from CDBG, Home, or ESG that was left over, we call that prior year funding. And if we had any prior year funding that was left over that we had not spent out, we were going to take that and push it all into this action plan. So any prior year funding that we had for CDBG, Home, ESG, and that we didn't utilize, we're pushing that all into this action plan for this year. That second line says award amounts for 26-27 have not yet been released. That is wrong. We just got those allocation amounts last week. So We are getting a slight bump in CDBG funds. Home funds are down a little bit, and ESG funds are down a little bit from last year as well. But first, we're going to start with CDBG. Again, this is for a wide range of community development needs. We're looking to allocate $6,350,526 to CDBG funding activities this program year. In order to qualify for CDBG, it has to meet one of 3 national objectives. It must benefit low to moderate income folks, prevent slums or blights, or address urgent community needs. Obviously, we have to use these funds for eligible spending activities. At least 70% of spending must benefit low to moderate income persons. Public services, I'll get into this more here in a minute, but we are traditionally public services heavy within our city here. Approximately 30% of our award goes towards public services activity. That's actually a blessing. Nationwide, the public services cap is about 15%. We're actually grandfathered in at this $1.1 million annual amount that we can use specifically for public services activities. First, we'll start with public facilities and infrastructure projects. We're looking to allocate just over $3 million for these projects. The first is for an infrastructure project. This is the Midtown lighting projects. $504,878 is going towards that. Every year we set aside funding for demolition and clearance. We operate off of an MOU with MABCD. They use these funds to for the demolition and clearance of blighted structures. Public facilities, $2.4 million. $1 million of this is going towards the construction of a new community center in Plainview. $400,000, we are setting this aside for a to be determined project, and then we're using $1 million to build non-concrete shelter on the Second Light site. And on the far right-hand side of the screen, that's how all of that adds up under public facilities and infrastructure. Next, we have housing activities. We're looking to allocate just under $1.6 million for housing activities. The bulk of that is going towards the home repair program, $1,260,000 of that. Like I said, it's going for home repair. This is for homeowners who meet the income guidelines that are, there's some stipulations. You have to be caught up on your taxes, your mortgage needs to be current. But you could qualify for home repair projects from anywhere from $5,000 up to $25,000. We also have $334,078 that are being set aside for a to be determined disposition and rehabilitation project. There's how. We are required to set aside some funding for the administration of the CDBG program, and that's $595,600. Let me see how all that totals up. $2,000 of that we use for fair housing training. Every year we have a housing conference that we put on, and so this year the housing conference is in October, and we're using $2,000 for fair housing funding. Up under administration and planning. Public services, I mentioned that a few minutes ago. So again, we have that public services cap of $1,163,310. You'll see total allocated, we're pushing right up on that amount there. $385,000 of that goes towards the Office of Community Services. So that's your neighborhood resource centers at Atwater, Colvin, and right here at Evergreen. We have $77,500 that we use for Housing First. That helps fund the salary and benefits of one full-time Housing First employee. And then we have the Way to Work program, $222,500. That's our summer youth employment program that we offer every single summer. That's for kids ages 14 through 17. We are able to get them jobs within the city of Wichita, so they work in different departments for the summer, get paid, get work experience. It's a really awesome program. This past year, end of December 2025, we released a competitive application for CDBG Public Services funding. This was for $475,000 of, again, public services funds. We also issued it for $50,000 for ESG homeless prevention funding. I'll speak more about that here in a minute. But just to focus on the CDBG funding, a total of 10 agencies submitted applications for this funding. At the same time, the City Council appointed a grants review committee. The grants review committee includes representation from each City Council district. Brian was on the GRC this year. Definitely thank him for his participation and input. We also have reps from USD 259, Wichita State University, large and small businesses, Wichita Independent Neighborhood Association, United Way of the Plains, and Sedgwick County. The task of the GRC is not an easy one. They are tasked with reviewing the applications that are submitted and making funding recommendations to City Council. They did set these recommendations. They'll be brought along with this action plan to City Council on Tuesday, May 5th for approval. And these recommendations are as follows. We have 3 different domestic violence service providers, Catholic Charities Harbor House, Wichita Family Crisis Center, and Stepstone, each recommended $50,000 in funding. We have 1 homeless services provider, United Methodist Open Door at $50,000, and the rest of these are youth program providers, Coleman Kids Club, Kansas Big Brothers Big Sisters, Prime Fit Youth Foundation, Masters and Mentors, and Wichita Children's Home. How all your public services dollars add up. Next, we'll move to the home program. Again, this home funds are specifically used for the creation of affordable housing for low to moderate income households. Over $10 million we are looking to allocate into the home program this year. Again, like CDBG, we set aside money for the program administration, and you'll see how that totals up there, that $255,620. We have our home ownership program. This is home ownership down payment assistance, $986,000. The home ARP funding, just under $4.5 million there. That's going to be funding the non-congregate shelter, 25 units of non-congregate shelter and supportive services as well. And then the tenant-based rental assistance, or TBRA, at $1.6 million. And then we have the Housing Development Loan Program. It's just under $3 million there. These funds can be used by nonprofit and for-profit developers. This is again for the development of affordable housing, rental or home buyer units, and that can be rehabilitation and new construction. We're always looking for CHODOs, community housing development organizations, to participate in this program. We have a CHODO set aside where minimum of 15% of the total annual home allocation needs to go towards local CHODOs. The set aside, we manage that within our departments, and all HDLP applications are reviewed by an affordable housing review. Some of the CHODO requirements on the screen. And there's how all the home allocations add up. Lastly, the Emergency Solutions Grant. Again, this is specifically for homeless services. It can be used for shelter operations, outreach, essential services, homeless prevention activities, which is just like it sounds. It's rent utility assistance for families that are in danger of becoming homeless. And then the rapid rehousing provides short-term rent and utility assistance to homeless persons. Mentioned earlier when we were talking about CDBG Public Services, we released a competitive application. Well, we also had it released for ESG homeless prevention funding in the amount of $50,000. We're allocating $60,000 towards that. We had $10,000 that was left over from last year. But this funding, again, was made available We only had one applicant apply for this funding. After their application was reviewed by housing staff and then the continuum of care staff, it was deemed that that application was not eligible. And so as a department, the Housing and Community Services are going to, proposing to use these funds for homeless prevention for those that have been homeless in the past but are at risk of returning to homeless. So we're trying to address the community's return to homelessness rate, which right now is sitting at about 25%. We had 157,000 left over from last year. We're combining that with 160,000, which gets you $316,893 total. That's for encampment and unsheltered coordination services. We're going out to encampments and trying to get those folks into longer-term housing. Rapid rehousing, $35,000. That's available for rent utility assistance for literally homeless persons. Again, the goal is to get them into permanent, stable housing. And then same thing with the other two grants. ESG also has administration funding that we set aside for that. And on your right, again, is how all that adds up. Important dates, again, we're finishing up DAB meetings tonight. Our public comment period goes through midnight, May the 4th. We're going to the City Council for the public hearing on May 5th. Hopefully City Council approval in May as well, and we're looking to submit the annual action plan no later than May 15th. At this point, it's recommended that the DAB or anyone that has feedback or comments about this plan, go ahead and issue those. You can do those now. You can send me an email, you can give me a phone call, you can send me a letter if you want to. Full draft is available right now on our website if you want to look over that as well. Take any feedback or comments that you might have.
Questions from the DAB?
3. One of them, I'm not sure that this is the right venue because it might be too involved. But no, I see anything that points out what the goals and expectations were for this action plan. I mean, there's a plan there, but I don't see what the expectation. There's a lot of money on the table here. I couldn't figure out what the total was, but it's in excess of $15 million, as near as I can tell. So where can a person find out what goals drove this plan?
So the goals are listed on, I don't know if you caught it when I was talking earlier about the consolidated, we have to go by our consolidated plan. All of our goals are listed on that consolidated plan. It's on our website as well. But 3 years ago now, when we developed that consolidated plan, we again went to all the DAB meetings, we sought public input and activity. We had the surveys out, and we, based on the surveys and what we were hearing from the public, that's how we developed those goals. And again, every year for our action plan, we have to work off of that consolidated plan. So all those goals they're listed in that plan, but it involves homelessness, affordable housing, public services was a big one. All those.
Does it have goals that are just dollar oriented, or is it how do we affect people?
For us, it's how do we affect people? How do we serve people? How do we? Because this money, I mean, we need to help our residents. So
what I just go to what?
Yeah, I can get that to Honor.
Okay, that'd be
I
great.
think we have 2 copies at the front desk.
Oh, and that's at the front desk is at the actual action plan.
Oh, that's the actual.
Yeah.
So with those goals in place to drive the plan, at the end of the year, at minimum, are we coming back and looking at the results to see how much we impacted those goals?
So every year, it'll be in July, August, I'll have to start doing what's called our CAPER report. Basically what that is, it looks at the past program year, the goals that we had, the outcomes of those goals, and we have to report that to HUD as well. And so every year we push that out for public comment as well. That's out available and show, hey, this is what we were funding, these were the outcomes of all those projects and activities that we achieved this money for. So yeah, we have to report on that every year as well.
Again, I'm looking for some summary, not a lot of financial detail about what's the impact? What change do we make to the community? Is that in that?
Yeah, well, there's each layer breaks it up on the paper. It breaks up into the areas that you're funding. And so like I have to go in and report, like I said, the outcomes and write, like you said, summaries. There's summaries in there that detail what we were doing as well. So so that I can get that, like for last year's, that's on our website as well. So I can get you that link if you'd like to check that out as well. And so that new one will be coming out in the fall for this program year that we're in right now.
Okay, so I'd like to see how we do with that. Sure. I noticed that, and I realize you can't put a lot of detail into this pitch. And I'm not promoting any particular organization, but I didn't see a resource up there for funds allocation for Mennonite housing. Is that one of your constituents?
Yes, the Mennonite housing, I talked about the HDLP program. It's all about creating affordable housing. Mennonite housing, we work closely with them. I believe they're one of our CHODOs, actually, community housing development organization.
So the cool thing about that is not just providing what we call affordable housing, but to me, it's more importantly instilling ownership and responsibility. So I'm glad that's on there. I have one more, and it's probably to you, Maggie, I'm sorry. And it's an umbrella question. Where can I find out how much in total dollars we're spending from the city, including grants and gifts and tax dollars for homelessness?
City website, but I can also summarize that for Anna and have her send it out to the dad and anyone else that's interested in it. I know with Second Light, we made a $29 million investment with all of the things at Park Elementary, including phase 3, which will be the 50 congregate, non-congregate, 75 units.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Homeless prevention, it mentioned that there were no eligible submissions on there.
Yeah, we had one organization apply for those funds, and after they reviewed the application.
Okay, so instead they're gonna spend that money to prevent people from, or previous homeless people from falling back into that.
Right.
Who, assuming there was a nonprofit or somebody that submitted a proposal and wasn't eligible, so who's gonna do that?
So it's gonna be within our department, the housing.
And the next slide after that was homeless assistance, and it said there was I think 157,000 or something for 2025. Another 160 for the 2026 year. 57,000 from plan year 2025, and then another 160 from this year. Is it safe to assume we only spent 3,000 last year, or?
Let me see. How much did we have for that last year? So,
if I'm reading that right, we have 157 left from last year.
So the encampment and shelter coordination, that was a new to us deal that we rolled out, and so it was a late start, and so we weren't really able to spend. That's pretty much all that we had from last program year into we're moving into this one.
So we did almost spend none of it.
Yeah, correct. Oh.
Is that because it was brought in under Parks and Public Works?
Yeah, it was, again, it was, like I said, it was new, but it's going pretty good right now, so. I can get more on that for you if you'd like. He's the homeless guru, so he knows all about this.
You have a lot of funds that's carryover funds. Is that typical for us, that it is that percentage is, and there's not a lot of strings attached as, a government fund,
So,
must
yeah.
spend downs and those things.
Right, so, for example, for home, we have 5 years to spend those funds. And so you'll have projects that will lay out, that's the, hey, this is what we do this next program year. For whatever reason, that project may not happen, the funds never get put under contract, and so then they don't get spent out that particular program year, so then it goes into what's called prior year funding. And so we have 5 years to spend those funds out, so it's typical to have certain projects that don't happen or whatever, and so we have to
You ever been in a situation where you return funds back to the feds?
not since I've, yeah, that's obviously the goal is to never do that. We have ESG is a little different, we have 2 years to spend those funds out, so we really don't have to get those out the door. Like Mark was pointing with the homeless assistance, we gotta get those out the door.
I just have one quick question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So I haven't heard it for a couple months, which is great, but is there any fear of funding being cut from?
There's always, that's kind of always that maybe in your back of your mind, but like like Sally hasn't given us anything on that, so it's
I
just
knew there
kinda
was
getting-
some worry. Vouchers, so if we ever had to float that, it would for a couple months and hope to get lift, but.
Yeah, and we, like I said, I think last year we didn't get our allocations until like May, and we got them just last week, so like that was a good sign. Okay. Josh.
My question was on a similar vein as I have been reading, so I guess I should back up. Are these grants for over a period of time, like it's the conditions stay the same for 5 years, for example, or do they change every year from HUD?
They're basically the same.
Okay.
For the most part, I mean, HUD will release new guidelines on things here and there, but like as far as what we can use them for, that stays.
Because my concern and my understanding is that either they haven't been published or they've been published recently, there's a shift away from the housing first model and more towards, say, congregate sober living with stricter requirements. And so I worry that, I guess my fear is that we'll have all these programs over this multi-year plan and then the rug gets pulled out from us next year. And then on top of that, the homeless assistance is gonna be half of that amount. So we're going to scale down the program then when we don't have 157,000 carryover, or how is that going to be replaced by the city?
That's a good question there. So we we're looking to obviously get that 157 that was left over from last year out the door, because typically you operate on a smaller budget there. So like I can't say if it's gonna like impact how great it's gonna impact the actual services, but
yeah,
I mean I can.
Like, do we anticipate between the encampment and shelter coordination spending $316,000 this year?
Yeah, we have to get it out the door.
Okay, so we're gonna spend it no matter what.
That's the.
Whoa, let's spend it wisely.
Well, yeah. As I say, we. The 157,768 has to get.
I was also curious about the home ARP, the 4.5 million for 25 units of non-congregate shelter and supportive. Is that with an existing organization or is that for 25 new beds at an existing or new entity?
So it's for the construction of beds at the second light site.
It's the 25 and the 75.
Okay.
There's 50 and.
This is the 1 million in the CB.
Yeah, that's-
CDBG.
yeah, for that too.
Okay, got it. Those are combined.
I guess just quickly, is there some one thing or another that just hasn't been figured out and nobody knows what to do? It's just hard for me to imagine, that you're looking for feedback on or collaborating. I mean, I know it's really great the way in which Tom wants everyone to feel included in these processes, but I'm just curious, is there something specific you?
I mean, not necessarily.
So-
you know, we have what's called a citizens participation plan.
Right.
That we go through, and that's one of the things that we are required to do is go out for public comment, go to DABs and seek feedback, and we always wanna hear, you know, ideas or
Is there an opportunity annually for them?
So the GRC, I don't know if that's what you're.
Might be it.
So when that comes like the.
I don't think that's what you're talking about.
I served on something like this years ago, and I thought this was it.
There's a board position to sit on for the CDBG grants, right?
CSBG?
Yes.
CSBG.
Sorry.
No,
So many acronyms.
Yeah. So CSBG, yes, I think.
Community service block grant.
Well, I'm trying to answer her question. I don't need any more activities.
No, I don't either.
I think it's just an opportunity to educate people on.
Yeah.
weird
No,
ones.
that's great. I wanna be helpful if there's
Any
something,
questions that
if
come up?
I have any background or experience in something specific. Particular job development, families in crisis, that kind of stuff, which I do. That's I'm doing a good job.
I'm doing that for the United Way of the Plains on the family and well-being. For review committee.
Maggie,
Yes,
I have a question.
I know you do.
Bill mentioned Mennonite housing. Is Habitat for Humanity also included in some of this activity?
Yeah, we do work with Habitat as well. Now, they're not, like, they can't serve as what's called a CHODO just because of, I think it's something with their way their board is organized. But we have partnered with Habitat as well, yeah, for sure.
And one other one, a while ago you had something up there about destruction of homes and so on. How do you determine which ones, or how do you find those, or do people report them, or how does that work?
So, yeah, we rely pretty much fully on MABCD. They contract for these funds. It's quite the process. I mean, they have to reach out to the homeowner and give them chances to improve the situation of the property. I think it goes to city council. Maggie, I think you have plenty of.
Yes.
Yeah, those that come in there, and so after giving them chances to improve the property, then it can determine that it's one that'll be demoed. But we partner with MABCD, so they're the ones that determine all that.
Is that, even if the homes appear to be, and for some amount of time appear to be abandoned, does that mean you still have to go find whoever's paying taxes on it?
Then you still, yeah.
So then you have to go back through that legal, okay.
It's quite the process.
So long to see one sit there for 10 years.
Questions? Feedback. Well done. You guys did a great job.
Mission accomplished.
All right. Okay, we are gonna move on to conditional use 2026-0035.
Brad Italy, I'm with MAPD. First case that we're gonna discuss is con 20-00035. This is a request for a conditional use for warehouse self-service storage on property zoned LC Limited Commercial District. Subject site is about 1.68 acres and is located at 3104 and 3130. It is currently developed with a 24,950 square foot vacant space and an 11,000 square foot event center. So warehouse self-service storage is subject to several supplementary use regulations when located in the LC district. And the complete list the applicant is requesting some waivers to those supplementary use regulations. And so we'll go through those one by one. The fourth supplementary use regulation pertains to landscaping requirements, and the applicant is requesting a waiver of that, where it pertains to a buffer where abutting a residential district, because there is insufficient space on the portion of the north property line for landscape. Is positioned on the rear property line, and that landscape requirement, any redevelopment would require the site to come into compliance with the Wichita Landscape Code. The fifth use regulation pertains to architectural compatibility with the surrounding development and adequate. This building has existing screening along the adjacent residential properties. And since the building has been there for several decades and has zero foot setback in the rear, staff is in support of this waiver with a condition of approval that any new buildings constructed need to be building materials and facades along the street frontages. Staff is also in support of the waiver for the 17th requirement requiring an on-site manager, because the applicant has indicated that the building will be monitored 24/7 by security. The 18th regulation prohibits more than 45% of the lot area from being covered by buildings on it already, and they take up about 52%. And staff is also in support of that waiver. The requested development of the site would be in 3 phases. The first phase remodels the interior of the eastern half, and this self-storage units may expand into the western half of the subject site. The parking lot would be converted into an enclosed additional 15,000 square foot of storage space. The applicant would need to ensure that the parking meets the requirements, which is 1 off-street parking space per employee plus 1 per 8,000 square feet of floor area. The site plan shows 6 parking spaces on site after the full build out of phase 3. So until phase 3 is built, there will be sufficient parking for the use within. They can always come back and ask for an administrative adjustment to they need to. The character of the neighborhood is commercial along the arterial street and residential along the local streets. Properties to the north are zoned as single-family residential, and TF3 2-family residential. They're developed as single-family residences and a multifamily residence. Properties to the south across West Central are zoned LC, are developed with a retail store and a multi-tenant commercial building. Zone LC and developed with medical equipment store, and then property LC and SF5 and developed store single family residences. The western half of the subject site was platted in 1950s. Stores Edition, don't know how to pronounce that. And was platted as part of the Riffles edition. In 2000, the MABC granted the eastern half of the subject side conditional use for a nightclub in the city. In 2013, the eastern half of the subject side was granted an administrative adjustment to reduce the amount of parking based on. MAPC approved an amendment to modify hours to serve alcohol and remove affiliation with the fraternal order. Has access to West Central Avenue, which is arterial street with sidewalks on both sides, and North Mount is a local street with no sidewalks. Wichita Transit stops immediately south of the subject site and a certain site. Additional use and the waivers are in conformance with the community investments plan. The future growth map identifies the area in which the site is located to be appropriate for commercial uses that reflect the full diversity of commercial development and cities and intensities and types typically found in large urban municipalities. So warehouse self-service storage is a commercial use. Subject use, the supplementary use regulations and the conditions of approval are designed to mitigate any detrimental effect to the neighboring properties. And the waiver of the requested use regulations are not likely to have significant detrimental impacts on nearby. As far as locational guidelines under the development pattern title, guidelines structure and services, and so this would do that. For people plan, the request is conformance with strategy 3, which aims to improve the economic use of service uses, and it also aligns with strategy 6, which aims to encourage infill and redevelopment that is contextual to the environment in which it is occurring. So staff does recommend approval of the conditional use and the supplementary use regulations subject to the conditions listed. And don't have on here to show the site pics, but they are in the staff report. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Got to, over the area, I suspect that if this is turned it into a self-storage unit, there's gonna be an increase in vehicular traffic. Yet, relative to changing the zoning and potentially increasing. the
No,
traffic.
my guess is it doesn't hit the threshold for any kind of traffic study. The reality is that, self-storage units have a decrease in traffic, or
Kind of an encouragement, and I realize it's not your bailiwick probably, but I would not personally be in favor of reducing or releasing the off-street parking requirement. In the current situation and in the future, it could create a balloon effect. It's not a four-way street or four-lane street. And so congested parking on Mount Carmel and or overflow into the business across the street from them. And in addition, in the future, it had a really colorful life over the years. And so the next owner, the next business might have more parking requirements. So just a comment. Sure.
That's okay.
I'm sure about the on-site manager waiver. Self-storage places come through here. It says it's gonna be staffed by security. Is that a person? Or
I
is that-
don't know. I'm not sure if the applicant is or the agent is. I'll say that That is probably an outdated supplementary use regulation that we have in our code. It's just one of the things that we have not had. 24/7 on site. Not uncommon for them to ask for that.
Could you run through all of the waivers they're applying for and then remind me if staff is supportive of all of them?
Yeah, we're actually supportive of all of them. They're asking to waive the fourth one, which pertains to landscaping requirements, because there's supposed to be a buffer between this and the fifth use is the architectural compatibility with surrounding development and adequate screening. It does have the adequate screening, but architectural compatibility with it being an as well. If there's any redevelopment in the future, we would ask for some of that to be thought of. The 17th use is the on-site manager. We're fine with that. And then the 18th regulation is that the 45% of the lot area. This has 52%. We're not that considering it's an existing building. So.
Questions from the dad before we open it up?
This is not, this is not to approve the phase 3 portion, right? Is today.
I would assume, because this is not my case, so I think that the some later date. I mean, it wouldn't have to come back through here because it's a.
Don't change the percentage of coverage.
See, go even higher, but it would be allowed with the. This might be a question.
So it says that if you look at the note on the site plan, phase 3 will increase the percentage. So I guess we're okay with the future.
Gotcha.
My last other question might be more for the applicant then, so when we get there. I'll confess first, not know anything about self-storage economy, but 6 parking lots seem, I even imagine people like my parents who have one, they pull a whole trailer behind and load that thing up. Especially with these additions to phase 3, I am concerned about the navigation.
Yeah, and so they'll meet it until they come up with the phase 3 portion. And if they can't meet it or can't get an administrative adjustment to reduce, meet the requirement or get an administrative adjustment. So.
Any questions from the public? Come up and. Any questions or would like any clarification? Thank you for being here.
Sure. My name is Scott Ripple. I'm here with my brother Victor Ripple. We've run Barney's deep discount drugs all of our lives. This is the building that we're talking about here. We've been closed for about a year now. Haven't really had much activity on trying to convert that building into something else. We are actually in the self-storage footprint. As of 5 years ago, we operate Delano Storage in your area. And it's something, my son runs it, and it's a
business that we like to increase our footprint in. This seems like the logical time to do it, and the building and structure is already there. If you're driving by, you won't notice any different except for the Barney sign will be down and there'll be a different sign. Basically, right now, back to that other drawing with the phases, if we could, for a second, because I know there was a. So right now, because of venue 3130, we can park like 180 cars. If stage 2 and stage 3 goes, we won't have that, we won't have the need to park 15 or 20. And then also, as to your question, there's some pretty strict guidelines. The fire department is going to require that they can drive their hook and ladder truck through with no problem. So I mean, those types of traffic flow would be addressed if we did phase 3, which would be finishing storage in the venue and putting some lot storage out front. It just wouldn't make sense to have that many parking places for something that's only going to draw, a few cars. And then we can use that parking to generate income as well. And as for increase in traffic on Central or any of that, it would probably be the same or less. I mean, Barney's in its heyday, we had 800 or 900 people a day coming in. Delano storage, once it fills up, 5. So, because once people get their stuff in, they don't visit it every day like they visited the pharmacy. Decided to try to do this, and in my stupidity, I thought we had zoning, and I didn't find that out until later. But, and then when I found out about that, and through the process of mailing out all the letters and everything, I said, well, just in case this works and 5 or 10 years down the road, the venue shuts down, I didn't want to, if we wanted to expand into that footprint, I didn't want to have to do this 2 or 3 more times. And that's why we're asking for the whole center. But right now, there's at least a 5-year lease still going on. It goes to 15, but we just don't know. So, like I said, the interior is going to change dramatically, but right about. Well, I hope you do. So, oh, that's right. About that. No, and right to that rule, and it's kind of happened before we got into the storage business. But like when you have an on-site manager and things aren't working out and you go to fire them, you don't just fire an employee, then you've got an eviction as well. And so those apartments are kind of going away in that industry for that reason, because I could fire somebody today, but it might take me 6 months to evict him out of the space. So that's kind of why they're doing away with that. But just like in our space over at yours, every place I can pick up my phone and see the whole center and stuff, and we'll have that type of system in place. And in the system at Delano, we do have a few people that have 24-hour access because they need it, but it's something that they have to apply for. Example is one of our good tenants over there is kind of a disc jockey. And like he might do a show at the Cotillion and then he has to have his stuff out of there. So it might be Saturday night at 2 in the morning and he's got to get his stuff back in. I mean, those are the types of instances that have the later time, but it would probably be a 7 to 10 type of 8 hours. The special use is granted if they prove that
Same entrance is the plan for the existing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this was the Barney's
Right.
entrance right there. And Barney's, since I don't know how much history you know about, but when Aldi left, when Barney's put in some grocery, we kept about that much storage space. And then when the venue came in, where it was the Moose Lodge first, then the venue, but, they liked that perfect square setup. And so we've always used that as storage for Barney's, and it just makes sense. If we didn't convert that now, then that's about 4,500 square feet. That would just be kind of like a big closet, you know, we really wouldn't have access to it. So we thought we would just add it to interior storage.
I'd like to entertain a motion.
Second.
What do you think? Right,
Who was that second?
Me.
thank you. Okay, then moving right along. PUD 20. Oh, we just did that.
This is about 9. We don't have anybody on.
You don't have anybody on
Okay, so it's not.
90.
The next one is 2025-00071. This is coming.
Hello, Ballard, we're actually on item number 9.
PUD 2026. Group 02, sorry.
I was gonna roll with it. Lead the MAPD, this time, the case is 2020. Family residential to, overlay 371 PUD. Uses permitted by right in the MF 29 district. Subject site is 2.34 acres in size and is located on the south side of West Elm Street between North Avenue, pretty much just north of the last case that we just had. Subject site is currently undeveloped. So the standards that the applicant has set forth, the site would consist of one parcel. And access to the site would be from West Elm Street. The states that the PUD would be restricted to all uses permitted by right in MF 29. Acre, and the applicant's proposed density would be about 40. So that would be a little bit more than what the MF 29 allows. So if approved, the subject site would be permitted. The existing protective overlay allows for all uses permitted by right in the TF3 district. Plexes and fourplexes as well. The maximum density allowed by the protective overlay that's currently in place is 14.5 dwelling units per acre. And so that would allow for 33 dwelling units. So we're looking at about 50 more dwelling units. All buildings in the protective overlay currently are limited to a height of 35 feet or 2 stories. Other development standards that would deviate from the current 18 zoning district are located in the table on the in the report. As far as parking goes, the proposed PUD language states that it would be provided at a rate of 1.25 spaces per dwelling unit, where the zoning code requires 1.25 spaces for efficiency in 1 bedroom dwelling units and 1 spaces for 2 bedroom or larger units. So the proposed language would result in about 105 spaces provided. For screening and landscaping, landscaping is proposed to be provided by the Wichita Landscape Code, including a landscape street yard and parking lot screening, and a landscape buffer along the east and west property lines where they have SF5 and TF3 zoning districts. Screening is proposed to be a 6-foot opaque fence. So on the west and on the east. Signs are proposed to be permitted in accordance with the MF 29 zoning district, except that parcel 1 would be allowed up to 48 square feet with a maximum height of 8 feet. So the Wichita sign code would typically allow for 25 square feet, so we're doubling it basically. But it would allow them to have recommend that the parcel be limited to one sign in monument style, and then all sign elimination standards for the MF 29 district apply, which basically is just that it's limited to indirect or internal elimination of white lighting. Lighting is not referenced in the applicant's proposed language. Staff would recommend that the lighting should adhere to the standards of the Unified Zoning Code. As far as the character of the neighborhood, if we can scroll down to the zoning map. It's a mixture of single family and multifamily, residential and commercial properties to the north are zoned SF5 and are developed with single family dwellings. To the east are zoned SF5, also developed with single family dwellings. Properties south of the site are zoned LC and are developed with a restaurant and an office building. Properties to the west are zoned LC, SF5, and TF3, and are developed with an office building, residential, in the TF3. It's comprised of 5 unplatted parcels, and platting would be required. It was approved with that protective overlay from SF5 to MF18, and those protective overlay the local street, no sidewalks on either side. All municipal services are available. As far as plans and policies, the requested zone changes in conformity residential, which is defined as areas that reflect the full diversity of residential development densities and types typically found in a large urban municipality. So multifamily would fit that description. As far as land use compatibility guidelines, under the heading land use compatibility guideline 2A states that neighborhoods serving retail and office uses and high density residential uses can be appropriate along arterial streets, on small infill sites near residential uses, residential structures, if appropriate site design features limit all the things are provided for the scale of development. So property to the south is zone LC and property to the north is zone SF5, and planning does like to see some kind of staggered buffering from commercial to, so that the multifamily residential would kind of meet that kind of. The requested zone change is in conformance with the Wichita Places for People plan. Strategy 5 is to provide a diversity of housing options to attract new residents. To remain in the central area. And it also aligns with strategy 6, which is to encourage infill and redevelopment that is contextual to the environment. And with multi-family development just to the west, this is meeting that. So staff does recommend approval of the zone change with staff recommended changes to PUD 156, and then also subject to the conditions that are listed in the So this is looking south into the site. It's a very large site on Elm Street. East away to the single family. This is looking north away to the single family, and this is looking west away. So that's going to be more of the multifamily behind those trees. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Where did you say the current overlay conditions are?
They're in the staff report on page.
maybe a operational question, but previous applicant talked about mailing out the notices. Is that traditionally handled by the applicant themselves?
They get the notification list from the title company.
Yeah.
They bring it to us, we do the mail out.
I only asked just because I had the chance to drive by this property this afternoon and noticed that there wasn't our usual signage up in front of it.
So they did go to MAPC on March 26th. It was recommended for approval. Once the MAPC meeting is over, they can remove the sign from the property, so that's why.
You said there's no.
Correct. And I don't know, there may be something there already because of the commercial properties, but there's nothing that's required.
So. Then one more from me, I think. It got lost for me in the translation, but what is, for this 84 proposed units, what's the maximum height that they are proposing under this PUD?
Sure. It would. Whatever is in the MF 29. Yeah, 45 feet.
45.
45.
35 feet.
35 feet is SF5. That was the original protective overlay that's on there right now. So with the MF 29.
But it's still 2 stories.
No, that was the old protective. That's, I say old. That's the existing protective overlay. That required 35 feet or 2 stories. The new one would be allowed to go 45 feet. You know. The height requirement.
Did I understand correctly that for parking, they did not quite meet the requirement, or did I extrapolate?
They are reduced. And the applicant may be able to tell you there's dwelling units, but 1.25 standard for efficiency or studio or 1 bedroom. So they, I don't know, they may not be wanting to do it.
Okay, any questions from the public? Make a motion?
Did we hear any from the, sorry,
No,
I don't
okay.
know motion. I forgot to ask, did we hear any public comment or anyone email you about this?
No, in fact, the only thing I got was that for somebody. And if it got approved at the previous one, and I said, yes, it did. And he goes, good, I don't know if he's in here. But, okay, yeah. He was,
Stop.
yeah. He was saying, how much that we had was in favor of it, so.
And this might be a question. If we, thoughts, if we defer it, does that just keep it on the DAB agenda, or is that the recommendation to city council for final approval?
Go ahead and keep the thing moving along, but.
I want to canvass the neighborhood, given the scale of the project. Not necessarily, like, we had a similar case that we approved last month where it was 28 units on a little shotgun strip that split, what's it called? Real and single family, and I think that is a perfectly fine idea. I was also concerned about the 28 on the, like, less than a third of an acre, but the size of this is giving me some pause. Not that it's a bad thing. We want to get some feedback from the community, is where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Jeff Best, I'm agent for the applicant. So might help.
Yes.
Answer a couple questions. I know height was one thing, 45-foot max, we're around 37, 38 on the building, 3-story. 4 buildings, they're still playing with the mix a little bit. Initially, it was 2 buildings, all 1 bedroom, 2 buildings 2, but I think they're now 2 back. So that's still kind of flexing a little bit. 2 entrances. That's all. Any other, or you've got more questions?
I don't think
How
so.
many parking spaces? I'm just curious.
We got 110.
So how many units are you saying for?
84?
48.
Total units.
Your anticipated client base, your target market?
Don't know if I can answer that. I do know that one of the previous ones they did recently, I want to say it was 1,000.
Was what?
1,000.
No, I'm sorry. Sure, what? Building
your
something like this,
renters?
there's surely some kind of demographic in mind on who you're gonna target to rent this.
I can't answer that. I just don't know. I don't know the answer.
No, I would. No, you design it for families, or you design it for single people. That's what I'm asking.
What are the layouts, the bedroom counts and bathroom counts for each unit?
There's, okay, so 48 1-bedrooms, 36 2s. Now, as far as restrooms or bathrooms, I can tell you, I just don't have the same layout.
What's the structure there?
It's like an outdoor grilling.
Is it out on the line?
Up towards the top, left. Sorry, I can't reach that.
There's a pointer.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's your trash.
I think that's trash. The only reason that's in the center is actually I need to turn around for a fire truck. So that doesn't work.
What's the closest, to your knowledge, what's the closest green space area for this?
Green space?
Yeah, place for, assuming
As far as
families
the
live
park?
in this.
Like a public park?
The town park, any kind of city property that, you know?
Well, I don't know if I know the answer.
I mean, you've got the Greenway along McLean, not far away. You've got a park just up Zoo Boulevard, north of West. So it's not too far. I don't know the name of it.
I would say probably Orchard or Sims or it's probably the closest.
Yeah, if you came down and then across the bridge, you'd be in the center.
Or Orchard the other way.
Otherwise, you're going down.
And Sims Park will be right across the river, right? Footbridge.
Yeah.
Thanks, Judy.
Any other
Thanks.
questions? Questions from the public? Make a motion or? Any opposed?
Introduce yourself to Terry.
2025-0071.
Yes, once again, Brad Ederly, MAPD, zone 2025-00071. This is coming back to the DAB. You can see this. And this one, I'm going to go through all of it, and then I'm going to kind of explain. Again, this is not my case, so I learned about this today. So the applicant is requesting a zone change from SF5, single-family residential, to MF18, multifamily residential. Property is located on the west side of North McLean Boulevard, within south of West 13th Street North. It's currently undeveloped and has been vacant since 2023. The applicant is requesting the zone change in order to allow for multifamily residential development on the site. The 0.30 acre site would allow 17.4 dwelling units per acre. For a maximum of 5 dwelling units. The requested zone change would permit more use. It would allow for changes in development standards, which are located in the staff report in the table. The zoning code requires compatibility standards for side and rear lot lines of properties zoned MF18 or less restrictive when they're within 500 feet of properties zoned PF3 or more restrictive. So in this case, the property is adjacent to SF5 zoning on the south and west sides. So compatibility standards would apply sides. Parking requirements, again, for multifamily developments, the 1.25 for efficiency in 1 bedroom, 1.75 for 2 bedrooms, so they would have to meet that. Required, so a 6 to 8 foot solid screening fence is required where the multifamily would abut against this. Landscape code would be required for street yard, parking lot screening, and all. To the zoning map is residential. South and west are zoned SF5 with single family dwellings. Property to the north is zoned GO and is developed. And to the east is the Arkansas River. Subject site was platted as part of the Indian Hills Edition, and there are no other zoning cases associated with it. The subject site has access to North McLean Boulevard, which is Imperial Street, with a multi-use path away from the site has access to all municipal services. The Wichita Transit Services site within east corner of West 13th and North. The site is appropriate for residential, which again encompasses all areas or areas that reflect the full diversity of residential development densities and types typically found in a large urban municipality. So multifamily units are appropriate. As far as locational guidelines, one of the general development patterns states that small neighborhoods serving retail and office uses and high density residential uses not located at arterial intersections should be limited to the intersection of arterial and a collector street. And the proposed higher density development is along this arterial street. The requested zone change is in conformance with the Wichita Places for People Plan, Strategy 5, once again, provides a diversity of housing options. Strategy 6 encourages infill. And so staff does recommend the request to be approved. So what the applicant is wanting to do basically is basically put 2 duplexes on this lot. The applicant or agent here, I think that they might have to lot split to do that, but or no, if they're doing MF18, they won't have to. Ahead of myself with another case. So that's what they're wanting to do. So, we can go to the site fix. So this is looking east towards and north away. Site and south away from the site. So with that, I can stand for any questions.
Cut to the chase. Has this applicant changed at all since we saw it in February?
You would have to ask him that.
So what changed for me to send it back to the DAB is we did not have a site plan before. They sent us a site plan,
Is this the site plan?
but the site plan, when it came to the DAB first, and the day before the DAB, or wherever we got the site plan and to 5 dwellings in this.
Just curious, are the neighbors here?
Yes.
here in the video?
Again.
See that? Do you guys have questions or comments before we go to that? I just felt like we got new information and it was very controversial the first time and I wanted to get some input.
Did I see that there's a 6-foot internal setback?
There would on the two side yards. I don't have all the,
6 foot size setback.
yeah.
Just from the site plan, it
Yeah.
looks like not much.
So they would both be considered, meet that 6 foot setback.
I'm just curious how close they are to each other.
Right.
They would have to be at least 3 feet apart. That's the standard.
I cannot imagine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Something to say, I would welcome it.
I agree. That's a good perspective.
Technical difficulties, I don't think anybody can hear me. But here I am proceeding to answer any questions that you may have. You see the site plan in front of you. We know up to BO5. And initially it'd be 1, just starting out with 1. Bachman Company will generate that final site plan once we have a determination. They're 1-story units, all brick front units. I heard from, and I went and changed it according to some of the comments that it's 1-story duplex. To seniors, elderly, that's downsizing, small families, and just the community more than those. Yeah, that's the new birth form. This, these
No, I didn't say that.
these have gable roofs, three fronts, and they're real solid buildings, but there's
Perfect. It looks to me like all the houses along here have a place to back out. Instead of having to reverse and back onto the plane. So how are these units gonna get out of those garages?
they don't show them here, but they have 2 approaches in the front of this lot. And those approaches will be made into a horseshoe.
Okay.
And the driveways on the duplexes, they can back out, turn around and approach McLean, instead of backing over to the right. And some of the other houses along McLean have it's just gonna be one situated, develop, and then maybe go to the next. So it'll be a slow process. And you can see the approach there. There's a second approach further to the north, and they'll be made into a horseshoe driveway.
consideration, one of the things we heard last time was the runoff from the currents. To
From
have
the current,
Current grade as you put more concrete.
I'll probably get most of that runoff now from those places. There will be a great plan coming from Boston. These places, I don't believe will have a runoff problem. It'll again be all those units on the corner that'll be causing the runoff. We'll have proper gutters and downspouts, as I understand some of these places. Well, you can see in the pictures, they don't have it, and that's an issue, and that's probably why all the problems are happening.
Are there any other, I don't see any other duplexes in this area.
Find multi-family housing in this part of Indian Hills.
Yeah.
This lot is screened off 3 sides.
I'm gonna open it up for the public. Do you have questions?
So whenever you do build, are you going to runoff doesn't go in his yard where it at least goes off into the street?
Most runoffs are made to drain towards the property line, and that's a legal requirement that we will.
And then one last one, what, will you work good on your budget to where you won't go over your budget? That you don't have to file for bankruptcy? I'm sorry, I just have to straight up ask that.
We don't want that to happen at all.
No, I.
Install rooms. And they will be on a strict criteria.
So with the 2 units there and the parking, would there be room with the turnaround parking and the parking spaces in front of the units?
Yes, there will.
Yeah.
And that'll be set up on the site plan for Bob.
Here.
Shoot drive will be this. 25.
Excuse me, I mean no disrespect, sir, and this is probably a dumb question. What assurance do we have that what you're stating will really happen? I mean.
No
see the
infrastructure.
blueprint?
I'm sorry.
No, may we see the site plan or?
You can have one. If you like.
Efforts, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
If I could, I'll be a little more direct. I think the problem that she's trying to wrestle with is one we wrestle with as well. We've had situations where a developer or builder has come in, shared with us a site plan, then they go and get a permit, and the trending structure is totally different or significantly different than what they told us they were gonna do.
Yeah, shame on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't sit here before you and tell you my plan changes. That wouldn't be, I've changed it, and this is
It's the general concept and
Yes, sir.
design that you're showing us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Does that help your question?
Yes, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So, well, I have a question for them. What's the main concern you had about this forward?
Those are probably, I spoke to a couple of
Yeah, you spoke
residents,
to
and
them.
I mentioned that, you know,
2-story about,
We
I
was
don't know how
looking at-
many, the beginning you were gonna have,
we were looking at that idea
like 2-story, 4 of them or 3, I don't know what.
because of the profile would fit in the lot, you know.
And-
that
And
was
we're
so
an
concerned.
established, I mean, that's my home right there where that little hand is. That's my home. And we're an established community. I mean, that's the concern, is that, you know, we already have the 6, which, you know, they're there. So it's like, is this gonna happen, just continue to happen? I know we have the plan of the city to have affordable housing, and I know all that, but you know what? We live here. I mean, we've been here, I just moved in, so I'm good. I mean, I just moved in August, last August. So it's like, and these guys have young kids and I mean, no, mine gone, but they have young kids. They're all there and they're worried. It's a really worried that it's gonna be just riffraff coming in, and I hate to say, I rented for 20 years, so I don't consider myself riffraff, but you know, that's kind of our concern. Well, not anymore, but tight neighborhood, and these guys have little kids and they're worried about, oh, am I gonna have to move now because of what may move in? But you know, if we can believe what you're saying, you know, that's a different story, maybe. For me, I don't know about Jacob. What about you?
I mean, I would like to, I did send some pictures to online, so I would like to get a chance to address the room at some point.
I was just gonna say my top 2 is like the traffic, so like not backing out there, because that is a pretty busy intersection, and especially when people are turning left onto McLean from 13th, there could be like short time to react with the congestion that's there. And then my second concern is my rooms and my toddlers' rooms are on the north side of the building, right next to where that lot is. So I would just be concerned about the increased traffic of having 4 families there and the noise and such that it would cause.
Small families. They're small.
Yeah.
We're talking about maybe upwards of 4 units total.
Yeah,
Small,
right.
nice
So
neighborhood.
that was
Also, some seniors that's down.
Crowds.
Yeah.
Concern they had is because in the first meeting, there was another, now it's saying it's gonna be only one duplex and another one in the future.
Correct.
I can offer some assuagement. I live in the neighborhood just north of you, very similar build, similar makeup. A number of the properties are rented by owners, and I check the crime map regularly. Nothing.
Only against renters.
Our neighborhood is diversifying in its portfolio and who's owning and who's renting, and it's, more renters are moving up towards the river where the houses tend to get bigger. There's not been any problems with an increase in crime with more renters in the neighborhood. And I think I hear you about, these are homes that were built very good quality in 1960s, late 1950s. There was a property there that was beautiful, and now we have to fill the space. And so I appreciate you listening to them, but I do want to offer, if it's any consolation, our beat is one of the largest in the city because of how not busy our community resource officers are, or community policing officers are. So I do not think that with the assurance of your strict requirements for income and the management company, that this will be a significant detriment to your neck of Indian Hills.
What are some requirements for income?
I'll leave that up to which sovereigns, but there, I don't want to answer it and be wrong.
Just add, kind of piggybacking on this, of having this just as whenever we present to DABS, having a site plan and having it conform with what it looks like in the neighborhood could have saved us a lot of work.
And that's a lot.
Been on this DAB for 6 years, and I have never once, until 2 months ago, seen an entire neighborhood show up to say they do not want this. So I appreciate the neighbors for coming out in force and doing that. I will say, thank you for putting forth effort to meet them somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
much.
Okay, thank you.
And then there's a couple people from the public that would like to speak as well, so can you go ahead?
You can ask your questions or provide your comment, please.
Question or comment?
Here in a minute.
Okay, well,
My name is Jacob Deppenbush. I live at 1376 North Manissa, which is this house right here. We're not adjacent to the lot technically, but we're as close as you can get without being adjacent to it. So I know they're sent to you guys. So this was Mr. Castle's plan. I took this and I set access to AutoCAD at work, and I kind of laid out. Just fit on the lot. If you could go to, I'm not sure what order they're in. So, yeah, I looked at the plat map that you have access to online. You know, laid out measurements, and then, like, this is the best I could get them. Primary concern was the parking spaces, because like I said, it's an extremely busy neighborhood. Yeah, I guess I don't really see the ability to get that many cars on the lot. So I laid out, according to the plan, each unit will have its own garage with one space. I'm assuming that there will be another car, because they're like, what, 3-bedroom units, I think? I don't think it's unreasonable to say that there will be another car there. And I know that that is technically within the parking minimums, but there's no on-street parking there. And with this setup, I'm just not sure how you're gonna get a circle drive on the lot. I think that's important for safety aspects. I guess the other thing that Daniel mentioned was that his bedroom is right there on the lot. A single family home, you have what, maybe 2 people starting up their car in the morning. You have maybe 8 people starting up their car right next to his freaking bedroom. This is right. I mean, people have web cars and things. So I guess the only other thing that I wanted to say is that was at the zoning board meeting when they the approval. They decided that, you know, oh, we need affordable housing and denser housing in the city. Before that meeting, I called the leasing agency for those, some call them chicken coops, to the north of us. And I think they still have a unit that's vacant there. Those went up in 2020, 2021, somewhere around that time. And I know that they took a long time to fill. I think the demand is there, and I don't want a duplex sitting next to my house, his house, to all of our houses. It's gonna be vacant. Those are my concerns, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen.
Could we pull that diagram back up that you provided?
Which one, Bill?
The diagram that you provided?
Yes. This one?
There. I can't read that far out. There we go.
So I laid out the setbacks and the original, like the building setback and the setbacks on the wall.
I'm like, whoa, you're moving on me. There we go, right to stop, please. So that's what I'm looking for. There's a 30-foot building setback, and we're gonna be right up against it.
I looked at the code. You are technically allowed to have up to 50% of that front setback be parking space, but it seems awful tight. And this doesn't even have the, what did you say, 6 or 3 feet between them?
It would need to.
Is that at the eaves or is that at the exterior wall?
he'll have to adhere to all of the setbacks and, the development standards. You would have to have 3 feet of space. I believe it's from wall to wall. I think that you're allowed to have up to 1.5 feet or maybe even 2 feet of eave. That's more building code, so I don't wanna, I stepped into that lightly. So essentially, if he can't meet those, he's not gonna be able to do it.
That's what I'm here
He's-
for.
So to your point, if everything that you've put out is right, then there will be one building there.
Or he'll have to make them small.
You saw basically, I put it so the eaves were touching, that's just as much room as you can get for parking on the lot. I guess,
And there will be a licensed surveyor that does this. Company will set up a final site plan.
I'm curious for the people who live around there. Are you okay with the duplex at this point versus, I mean, so I recall that the issues were before is that we had, doesn't meet the character of the neighborhood as the way it was going to be. The multifamily also not meeting the character of the neighborhood. Traffic was an issue, runoff was an issue, those were all issues. So it seems like there has been some addressing of some concerns, but it also doesn't seem like anybody's super gung ho about it either.
Duplex, but, you know, you guys are, we're across the street.
So that's what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
This is where we hit a, I have a personal opinion about this, but I also don't have any actual reasons not to approve this. Feelings around it, that you're your own, and yet I can't not, I can't. Yeah.
The Indian Hills and Indian Hills River Bend, there isn't this middle housing, these duplexes. You're single family or you are enormous structures. And so this is not out of character per se, but it is different. Now, this particular part of Indian Hills does not have the enormous ones that you go over. It is giant 3-story, on McLean, technically it's off of Claremont. 2-story, dozens of units called the Stratford West as well.
It may have been a minute, so, but as I recall, there's screen fencing all the way around. Didn't you say that in the first place?
Yeah, I think that
as well?
looking at the
Privacy
site
fence.
pictures, the screening is already in place.
Right.
see screening that would be required between parking spaces and
Yeah,
what?
so, 3 different types of landscaping are gonna be required. So you're gonna have to have a landscape street yard, kind of up against is it McLean? I still wanna call it Arkansas, so.
It is Arkansas.
It is Arkansas. Some landscape street yard, but then they'll also have to have some buffering along the sides. I don't know if it's along the rear as well, but basically that's just like a tree every 30 or 40 feet and some bushes, but it does help. So those will all have to be in play.
So to answer your question, I would prefer not to have a duplex on the lot. If I had my way, I don't own the lot, so I'll get my way, but if I had my way, I would prefer a nice single family home to go back there to mesh in with the neighborhood. If that is not possible, I'd like to go with single duplex,
Well, and one level. I know somebody mentioned last time, well, they could have a 2-story family house coming. Well, that's one family. That's 2-story, not, 4 or 5 different units. Yeah, this is one now.
Is there a more restrictive zoning that could be used instead of, what was it MF18, is that right?
It's like a.
Isn't there like a
Yeah,
TF
there's a
something
two-family
that
zone.
would meet the
So
requirements?
technically, and we'll actually get into this in another case, but zoning, which would allow for duplexes. If he were still wanted multifamily, he could do that as well. That,
Right.
and that would allow for a maximum of. So I don't know what that would do as far as what he's got. I think it's a 0.30 acre site, so I'm not good at math, but, so that's kind of,
0.35.
so that would allow for dwelling units.
I guess if you guys have to approve it, I would request that it go to a more restrictive zoning, just so that someone 10 years down the future can't erect a monstrosity on there.
Well,
They'd have to go through this
Yeah.
whole process all
it'd have
over
to start
themselves,
over.
right? There's gonna be rules about that.
the total amount cost
40,
is
50
5 units, so it's not gonna ever be able to, unless they rezone again. Complex. Total maximum is 5, so, but that's for you guys to.
Councilmember Ballard, we do have, Vince has a comment on Teams. He says, I do request that they preserve space for a future sidewalk.
Yep. So that's in the right of way, sidewalks, that would be, so that wouldn't be on the property itself, it would be reviewed as that, unless you're talking about some sort of internal sidewalk.
Sidewalks anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere in that neighborhood.
Wanting to put a sidewalk on the east side of McLean, as we talked about. Side of
Yeah.
McLean.
Maybe they don't want to.
I think he's talking about the one on McLean.
Yeah, I know, but none of the houses on
Yeah,
the
none
plan
of
have
There isn't
sidewalks.
one there today. The right of way, which is part of the setback. It's not just.
Any motion?
I'm fine with moving to approve. That's Ryan. It's motions, yes, if anyone's making a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, great.
There's a motion and a second.
What was the motion?
Recommendations on-
To approve the staff recommendation. Okay.
First staff recommendation and all the discussion.
Question.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
Okay, all in
One of-
favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, is anyone opposed?
Aye.
Abstention, 1 nay.
711.
Thank you.
I have a question. I'm sorry. Does this then go back to the city council? Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys for
Thank
coming.
you.
Zero, 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 four. This is a case where the applicant is requesting the zone change from on a 0.32. The property located at 525 North Fair Street and is currently vacant. Constructed in 1942 and demolished in 2026. Applicant is requesting the zone change in order to build a duplex. Parking requirements or maximum height if the zone change is approved. However, SFI requires 5,000 square foot. units of 6,000 feet for a duplex. Based on the size of the site, the applicant could split the site into 2 separate parcels and develop 1 duplex on each parcel. The character of the neighborhood is residential. If we can go to this. Thank you. Properties to the north, south, east, and west are all zoned SF5 and are developed with single-family residences. There is a duplex development within the southeast and within 300 feet to the northwest. The requested zone change is not introducing a new use to the area. The subject site was platted as part of the Cal Hawkins edition, and there are no other zoning cases associated with the property. The site has access to North Clare Street, which is a local street with no sidewalks. The site has access to water and sewer, and Wichita Transit serves the site at the corner of Doris and St. Louis. As far as plans and policies, the zone change is in conformance with the community investments plan. Once again, the subject site is appropriate for residential development, and development pattern guideline 2A of the locational guidelines encourages infill development. As far as places for people, it is in conformance with 5 and diversity of housing options. And so the scale of the request is not out of character with the neighborhood. And so staff does recommend approval of this as well. We can go to the site pics. So this is looking west into the site and looking north away. And looking south away on paved road. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Concerned about there being a duplex right in here.
Not that I know. Evening, at least as far as this again is not one of my own, so I don't believe that anybody has reached out.
No site plan?
We don't require site plans for zoning cases. We do for conditional uses. So the fact that he had something is above and beyond. He had something. He's the applicant.
Yeah. KG Properties. I didn't print out enough for everybody, but I got it.
Oh, that's okay.
So does
I
anybody
can
want
just look on his.
Okay.
That sounds good.
I've done several projects in inner city fill-in, which Maggie's, I'm sure is aware. Most myself or my property, my company has already. So this is another property we own and just started working on it. Been with
South.
It's actually north, east-west. Yes, correct, yes. Sorry, got a little turned around.
So it'll face east-west, right?
Correct.
Kind of like the one up at the northeast.
Yeah, like these are mine. Most of them have been, there's one up here, there's like 3 of them in a row, but actually right here, like these, I've done these 3, I'm kind of your way. But these are actually gonna sit here, here, and here, and then the drive and the parking is gonna be in front of them. So it's a little bit bigger.
There's a dirt road not far from this one, right?
It's on a dirt road.
So then that would be, I know we heard a case, actually just down the block from this one, I believe, just up from the Kiwanis Park. They were concerned about dirt dust, so I hope that the road paving program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where it's at on the list, I can look, but all of the dirt roads on the 2026 list, I want to say there's like 20 of them, all of them except for one are in districts. About time.
Well, and one condition, just because I've gone through this on the dirt roads, is when they let us develop, then we actually sign, like there will be a yes vote. So when they come through to develop it, all our properties are automatic yes votes, which helps them in the
Yeah.
future, which we'd like to have paid as well. I mean, you know, there'll be a special assessment.
They just won't, if they're paving program, there's no specials. We're on
Yeah.
year 3, so it's going good so far. I can find.
It is for a long time.
To the council.
They've
But it is
been,
now.
they've been getting some of them done.
Yeah.
So,
Any other questions for anybody from the public? Mention questions or anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as recommended by staff.
Second.
Good question. The site plan shows this thing with a gable roof. Do you have any problem with that?
I do not, I would like to have the.
Oh,
the
yeah,
walk
let's
button.
do that.
Not an issue for you, is it?
I don't know. Person like that.
So we have a motion and you're adding the.
Washburn overlay.
Okay, and we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you
Thanks
for your
hanging
time.
out with us.
Good job.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Who was the second on that case?
There were, I think Josh and I.
I, right,
Who wants to call it?
rock, paper, scissors.
All right, next one is zoning case 2026-009.
Yes, last one of the night. Once again, Brad, the applicant is requesting a zone change from SF5 to MF18. Subject size and is located on the east side of North Jeanette, within 150 feet north of 23rd Street North. It is also currently vacant, and they are requesting a zone change to allow for 2 duplexes to be built on this. So MF18 does allow for the multifamily at 17.4 dwelling units per acre. This would allow for 4 dwelling units on the site. Again, development standards are listed in the table in the report. So the site requires 12,000 square feet for 2 duplex. Site is only 10,018 square feet in size. If the zone change application is approved, a variance application would be required. That would then allow for dwelling units developed as a quadplex. So as far as compatibility standards, the maximum height in MF18 is feet, but because of the compatibility standards, no structure on the site shall exceed 35 feet in height and within 50 feet of TF3 zoning. And the 100-foot wide site would require a 25-foot compatibility setback on the site, or the maximum allowed for those compatibility setbacks. Solid screening would need to be residential zoning districts. The subject site abuts and is across zoning on all sides. A landscape street yard and landscape buffers would be where they abut SF5 district as well. As far as parking is concerned, 1 parking space is required per unit in each duplex, so a total of 4. And the character of the neighborhood is low density residential. Properties to the north, south, east, and west are all zoned SF5 and are developed with single family residences. The nearest duplex is over 1,000 feet away to the southwest, and zone TF3. 7 site was platted as part of the Mascot Edition, and no other zoning cases are associated with this property. Site has access to North Jeanette Avenue, which is a local sidewalks on both sides. Water and sewer serve the site. Wichita Transit stops a half mile south of the subject site. It's in partial conformance with the community investment. The area to be appropriate for residential uses, which is okay. Locational guidelines, one of the suggested development patterns states that higher intensity development should be discouraged from locating in areas of existing development. Particularly established low density residential areas, and this applicant is proposing. Shelf places for people plan, strategy 6. Build that is contextual to the environment. Contextual to the environment. So staff is recommending the request be denied, and this is based on the findings found in the report. I will say that the MAPC did hear this case on Thursday last week. They did recommend approval of going to a TF3 zone. And so, yeah, so they've recommended that, and then to do one duplex, and I think that they would be able to do in order to do a lot split, to get a second duplex on, or they could do a conditional use to get multifamily on the site. So they've got a couple of options if they want to go that route, to get a second duplex there. But MAPC did recommend get 3, so they kind of down zone. And we can run through the site picks real quick.
Before you do that, I guess more restricted, you can still.
You can switch your vote.
Right, like I don't understand that.
Because the MFA. So they're requesting MF18.
And the conditional use is only for that construction, so it can't carry further.
So the TF3 right now, they can only get 1 duplex on that, but they could get a conditional use, would have to.
If they could get.
If they can get a conditional use, they can request for a conditional use to allow multifamily. So there would still be an avenue for them to proceed. Guaranteed.
Or they could go lot split.
They could also try to get a lot split with the variance. Yeah,
Nothing's
because
big
one
enough
of-
to be accessed, and then how would you split a lot in an enclosed structure like that? I mean, it's not on a corner.
Well, I mean, in the TF3, you would only need 6,000 square feet for each lot. So now the problem is that it's 10,000 square feet. So they may not be able to get it, but they could try to get a variance
You can
to
ask for
reduce the, yeah.
Yeah.
But probably the best course of action for them would be to get, if it goes to TF3, is to get the 5 units per acre. And again, I'm not gonna be able to do the math. They're just under a quarter of an acre, so whatever that would come 4 units. So they could go that route if they choose. If it ends up being approved for TF3.
Both of you guys, I think we have at the applicant's willingness on restrictive zoning as well.
Yeah, so let me go through the site pics real quick, and are you guys the applicants?
Yeah.
Okay, so then, this is looking east towards the site, this is looking west away, and then north away and south away, so, and for any other questions.
Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, and save the best for last.
There you go.
Tell you, really rookie mistakes. I'm not a developer. I do not tell you that my original intent was not to build duplexes there. And then we were under the impression like, well, you have to apply for an MFAT to build two structures. The previous owner decided to keep, so I purchased the 3 lots, so there are 3 lots, and then so I did a land split to put them all together in 1 unit. He decided, because he owns the house to the north, And then he decided to keep half a lot, so. So that restricted, now I only have 75 feet of frontage instead of 100 feet for the two units. I intend to use one of these units for my in-laws, because they're moving in town from New Mexico. So they don't wanna go live out west. They wanna stay, they wanna be in the neighborhood. My parents live on 23rd in Fairview. I grew up there, so I'm very familiar with the neighborhood. My preference would be to build 2 single-family homes to conform with everything else. Now I'm kind of stuck between, so what we decided, like, well, let's ask, if I have to ask for an MF-18, which I had really no idea what that really meant. Where we have two duplexes, because at this time we were thinking, well, the more the merrier. Well, it's not, because I don't even have enough space. Obviously, I found that out on Thursday. So the Metropolitan Committee, Building Committee, Commission, they suggested, why don't you do TF3? Like, well, that sounds like a great idea. Still, that's one duplex on a big old lot, right? I would rather do a MF-18 with 2 single-family homes, which it accomplishes the same thing as a duplex, but stay away from the duplex. Obviously, I would like for this body to reconsider with the special use or a different application to allow the building 2 small homes. One for our use and then one for maybe a small family. Because it's just too, the lot is way too big for one small home. So this will give us the same tax revenue of a duplex with conforming a little bit the 2 units instead of the duplex or the 2 single family. Should have been the application originally, but obviously I got.
So I can explain what's going on here. And I apologize.
Yeah.
Again, not my case.
Yeah.
And I did get told that, so I apologize for not putting it out there. So there's 2 routes that they can go. We can go to the MF-18 and add the 2 single family units. Multifamily. So a duplex has to be 2 units that are connected by. So if he goes to TF3, he can do the 2 units, the 2 single family units, but he would as well. So that's kind of the way that the MAPC. That would be more time and money. That's not for me. I'm just saying the facts, because he would have to apply for another application and spend another 2. Again, no commentary on that, just stating facts. Or you can go to MF-18 and allow for the 2 single family units.
So I'm just kind of, hold on just a sec, Julie. Sure. I'm kind of curious, based on all the conversation here and what you've enlightened us with, why didn't you just stick with the zoning he's got and go for an ADU?
It's like a new job.
Or, yeah, obviously, this is not for a living, and when we purchased this land, it would have been, we felt that it would be perfect for my mother and father-in-law. It's gonna be no steps or,
Like entry level.
Yeah, and then owner said that he was gonna sell the whole, because he had like 100-foot frontage, so it's perfect, so I'll build one here and then I'll build one here, and then he changed his mind. Sadly, I'm like stuck, and now I have to do a land split, which it was like almost $4,000 to do that. And then when I started to, so Cisco, our builder, we started to dive into the permitting and what can we build here. I was like, well, I have to go with the MF-18. Well, I could probably build 2 units. Well, and we applied for the multifamily with the 2 duplexes. Well, duh, we don't have enough space. Obviously, it's a no-brainer. I've learned that on Thursday when we started looking into that, and the commission said, well, why don't you just do a TF3? Yeah, but that just allows me to do 1 duplex or conditional usage to split those 2, which I originally really wanted to build 2 separate single-family homes.
tell me if I'm wrong, this could have been avoided with a lot split or to build two single, like keeping the SF5, like you're saying. Or they built one with an accessory dwelling unit and went through. Whose piece is this? And it seems to me that they did not listen to this gentleman and what he's doing. Because this is way out in left field. Be your job to be able to be
Right.
listened
So
to.
I think originally two duplexes. Right? So that would require.
Yeah, the original idea, Cisco can speak
I
more.
can speak on this because I'm the one that kind of went up and tried to figure everything out. So initially was, like he said, we were stuck with the 100-foot frontage, right? So we went and talked to the gal there and told her, hey, this is what we're dealing with. So she suggested to go with the MF-18 based on the frontage. Well, we got to the meeting Thursday and then that didn't even work either because we didn't have enough square footage to meet that. So that's kind of where this is at.
And right now, what we understood is that you needed 50-foot to do one single.
Yeah.
Well, I would have had the 50-foot had he not pulled back and said, I don't want to sell that other piece. So that stuck, I felt that we were stuck in this situation and felt compelled to obviously come and, kind of put this in front of you. Because what the commission said on Thursday, is like, why don't you just do it? But I really don't want to do a duplex. I want to do it. Because I just think we got too many duplexes already. So.
Brad, what is the path of least resistance to let two single-family units be built on this property?
Well, normally. Keep it SF5 and do a dwelling unit with an accessory dwelling unit or an accessory apartment. So, and that's fine if you want to go that route, but considering that he's already paid for the application, is going through this is an avenue. It is a weird avenue, but it is an avenue.
The TF3 in condition.
Well, even
But he
in
doesn't
the
wanna
15
have it
or the
together.
18, because technically to have two.
So simple.
So.
So that's why when we found this out on Thursday, we were like encouraged to come here, like, we shouldn't even be here. Had we, obviously, no one to blame. Obviously, I don't want to pull a good one on anybody. This is our intended use. I plan to use one of those units for my family. So the park is right there. There's a church nearby. It's just a wonderful area for them to spend their last few years. So, and then later on, maybe it's going family.
Questions, anyone in the public? Okay, entertain a motion or have any final questions?
Last, Brad, if we were to approve, because he paid for the application, we're here. If we do the MF-18, because someone dropped the ball, it's only 14.5 units per acre, right?
And if it's approved
At the
TF3.
MF-18.
If it's the MF-18, it's 17.4 units, a little bit more.
It would be.
So it would be allowed up to 4 dwelling units.
Yep.
So what you could do.
Someone
is
in
that
theory, 50
protective
years from
overlay
now.
that would only allow 2 units on the property.
I'm going to motion that we recommend approval for SF 18 with a protective overlay capping the number of units to 2.
I second
Two
that.
single-family units
And the wash.
and wash.
So it still accomplishes the same thing. as the
Same
TF.
thing, and your money's not wasted.
Thank you.
Did you say with Tip and Gable Group? as well?
Yes.
I think we can limit whether it's a duplex or a single family home.
You can.
But we can't say.
MF-18 though.
With a protective overlay.
One
I
vote.
did say
Yeah,
two
you said
single
just
family.
Oh, you
He
said
did say
single
two
family.
single
Okay.
family, and I said
Okay, we have a motion.
Height. No height restrictions.
Height
Because it goes up
restrictions,
another 10 feet.
35.
the height restrictions are 45 feet.
45 with an MFA. Wow.
So you could amend to.
And then to make it 35 feet, or which would be, okay.
And trust me, if it does get approved, it would,
Necessarily you per se, but when you
Yeah.
change it, it's changed forever, and so
Oh, for
100
sure.
years
Yeah,
from
I
now.
understand.
Yeah.
50 years from now.
yeah.
Could it be the 35 or two?
When I'm-
Okay. Well, how you said that.
Everybody feel comfortable voting? Oh,
One single family, 35 feet, hip and gable, the protective overlay on the approval of SF 18.
M18.
we understand that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would
all in
second
favor?
that, yeah.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright.
I am too.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Yeah, sorry for keeping you going.
You were not part of keeping us.
Because it will get more complicated, so ask lots of questions.
Yeah, no, I.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in